You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go. When the Iron Lady sings it, that makes it official, as we like to say on the Chris Voss Show. Welcome, my family and friends, to the big show on the Chris Voss Show. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. Today, we're going to have some laughs and some comedy on the show instead of the normal crying that we do, where we just sit around and boob and cry over our navels or something. We don't do that on the Chris Voss Show. Remember, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law, because, you know, she never liked you anyway. She wanted the other guy. But that's not our problem today, but it's your problem. So we'll leave it there. Guys, be sure to refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss. You can go to Chris Voss, facebook.com to talk to the show and our private group there. You can also go to linkedin.com/Chris Voss. Sign up for the newsletter. That's always huge over there. The 130,000 LinkedIn group as well. And also there's Chris Voss on the Tickety Talkie, where we're not as cool as the kids want us to be because, well, we're fucking old. So there you go. I'm thinking about shaving my beard off, and we'll ask our guest who has a ginormous man beard on the show. But before we get into that, we want to tell you, order up his book wherever fine books are sold. His newest book is out called Daddy Issues, a Fatherless Comedian's Original Jokes by Allan Sidley, who joins us on the show today. We're going to be talking to him, and he's got a stand-up special. We'll be talking about his comedy work that he does and some of the other interesting things that he does to help people be better at being funny in marketing and business. Author and stand-up comic who does comedy, Allan Sidley has a solid media presence on TV, radio, podcast, print, and digital publications. He was raised by a single mother after the death of his father when he was 10 months old. He learned early on to carve his path and has done so as a producer, sketch writer, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and the author of the best-selling humor book, Daddy Issues. He is also the loving girl dad to Sunny, his 1-year-old daughter. So he's now got kids. Allan has appeared on comedy stages in New York, LA, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and more. And he's also doing benefit shows for the American Heart Association in honor of his late father and 2 uncles who died from heart disease. With Allan's irrepressible work ethic, dry wit, and grand sense of humor, the sky is the limit. And there you go. Welcome to the show, Allan. How are you?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me, and thanks for pumping me up, man. I'm feeling pretty good today.
We got the pump up there, buddy. We have the brightest people.
I take you on the road with me, Chris. Is my
fun. You know, I have so many people say that. Hey, can you follow me and be my intro dude, where you just introduce me everywhere? And I'm like, hey, for enough money, I'll do anything. I mean, have you seen my OnlyFans lately? Anyway, there's no OnlyFans, people. So, Allan, give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, my website is Sidley Standup, SIDLEY standup.com. And that does have a few things that we'll be talking about. There's like a link to my book on there. There's an interview on Fox 5 DC, and then as well as my stand-up special. So that's probably a good starting point to get to.
There you go. So this book title is definitely pre-baby then, because you're a Fatherless Comedian's Original Jokes. So give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside Daddy Issues when we buy it.
Yeah. So essentially, you know, it was like a project that I always wanted to do. I wanted to write a joke book. And if you know me and my style of comedy, a lot of it is some one-liner, some puns, some wordplay, a lot of misdirection here and there. And I noticed I was writing a lot of jokes that would be funny if I texted them to friends or sent them in an email, and just things that actually worked in the written form, and some that, you know, could work in when I say it on stage as well as in book form. So, you know, pandemic hit. I had so much stand-up momentum that just came to a screeching halt. And I finally decided, I was like, look, let's figure out how to put this together. And in the book, I kind of wanted to give people everything, like all parts of me. So in my little handy book I have right here, I think it's mirrored, so you can't really read it too well on the back, but it says, provocative, edgy, corny, genius, stupid. And I think those are that embodies all of it, you know?
That's what my guidance counselor called me most of my years. Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted, and I spent a lot of time because to me, there's storytellers and there's comedians. And for me, I always felt like that my jokes tell the story. So even though it's we've got some stuff about traveling, we've got some stuff about family, and we've got things like health and religion. So it has a real nice narrative flow, and I'm still very happy with it. I mean, even if you just look at it, it just kind of looks like a, legitimate book. And my dream is to have this in every coffee table and bathroom stall across America. So
there you go. There you go. Are you going to amend the title ever to say a father's comedian jokes, or are you just going to leave it as it was?
I think I'll probably leave it because it's an homage to my daddy issues of having my dad versus
a period of time
versus now having different daddy issues now that I am a father.
So now you got to do a second book, a father's comedian original jokes.
Exactly. One of the couple working titles that are corny, like Daddy Issues 2, but spelling it T-O-O. There's a few things on my mind on
there you go.
Where to go with this.
There you go. You're gonna have some issues as a dad too, especially with a daughter. So there you go.
Everyone tells me, they're like, great now, hold on. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they're fun. At 3 years old, they come in and go, "Are you going to wear that when you go out?" And you're just like, "You're 3. What do you know about fashion and anything?" And they know. It's unfortunate.
More than we do, probably.
More than we do, and more than we care, for that matter, because we don't. But they make the world more beautiful. So daddy issues pretty much describes 35 years of my single dating life. Tell us why you chose that for your title, and I guess some of your daddy issues and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I basically chose the title because I sort of wanted to have some kind of almost like magazine tie-in where you would have like a daddy issue, and that would be like the magazine. So I kind of went with daddy issues, sort of like play on words there. And I felt like it was very, like my comedy, very just straight to the point. It's like, you're holding this book. It has my name on it. What's it about? And then it kind of just gives you some context. You're like, oh, this is a guy who didn't have a dad, or, dad passed away when he was young, and he wrote these jokes. These aren't, because when I was, thinking about writing this, one of the things I was doing is I would be wandering into some bookstores, and I saw that there wasn't really joke books from active comedians. There were, hey, these are the top 1,000 jokes that we've all heard on the internet. Would you like to buy that? But there wasn't anything that I thought was like, unique in that sense. So it was kind of like a sort of supply demand thought that I had, and a passion project for me.
There you go. So tell us a little bit about your history. We've kind of heard a little bit about it, but tell us kind of from your words what that was like, and what contributed to the book.
Yeah. So are we talking about my upbringing here? Or are we talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
How did these daddy issues come about? And give us some more in depth of these daddy issues that led you down this journey to become a comedian.
Yeah. So there's definitely a few facets here. Obviously, growing up without a dad definitely left a void that would have been probably filled with some more love and security and validation, things of that nature. So just
love's overrated anyway.
So definitely kind of just growing up feeling like I had a chip on my shoulder, kind of wanted to be the best in all the things that I did as a kid, I guess, to get some extra validation. So growing up, I was heavy into sports, and did decently well in school, but I was always playing football, baseball, things of that nature, and kind of just enjoyed competing and working hard, getting results. And then that kind of stopped after college when I was got my first job, and I was like, wow, this just sucks. I don't really know what to do from here. Because when you do internships, you're 2 months and then you're back at school having fun with your friends again. You're not sitting at some awful desk and surrounded by people and in a cube. And yeah, it took me a little while, but I eventually was like, I need to be doing something different, and started experimenting with some improv. Actually is how I started. I took some improv classes. Yeah, because I'm quick-witted in that way, and I don't like thinking about stuff ever. And it seemed like the more slacker way of getting into comedy. It's instead of sitting down and writing down a set, I'll respond to things. So That was my start, and I'm still involved in improv. So it kind of had a up and down trajectory, but I've been doing it again recently with some friends, and we're really good. So
Yeah.
just like it's a really nice outlet, and it just super fun. But ultimately, I fell in love with stand up again, and that just kind of started hitting it really hard at one point. Was putting on at one point, Chris, I was like producing 200 shows a year. It was nuts.
Wow. You're
but
doing good.
but I help refine my comedy chops, and I feel like at this point I've been doing it for 10 years. I have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing up on stage most of the time, and just really having fun with it, and just hoping to keep doing it more and having more people coming to see me. That's the dream right there.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. When did you know that comedy was like really something that worked for you and hit with you? They always joke about how comedians we have a lot of issues, but I don't know if that's true. No, that's true. Do you find you're in the same vein?
Aware of their issues, hopefully, and then that's how they've been.
Awareness. That's what alcohol's for. Drugs.
You rephrased the question. I got lost in your punchline there.
There you go. Sorry. So do you find that you some of the issues you had as a child, or what contributed to you wanting to be a comedian? They say comedians have a lot of mental issues, and that's how we medicate.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had a ton of anxiety before knowing anxiety was a thing. I thought everyone just had panic attacks on math test day, and that was normal,
sure. That's normal.
And
that's every Friday around here.
And then here's the fun thing. Socially, I've always found it a million times easier to talk to one person versus a group of people. And that's what makes stand-up great, because I have one microphone and I'm literally talking to, in some cases, one person that's just a glob of humans in a room.
Is it the one person who's usually not talking, not laughing?
Hopefully not. Not. I do try to focus on the ones that are laughing, because
do you? That's smart. The ones that don't laugh get to me. That's what bugs me.
I've seen shows where people have literally sat there, arms crossed, and just stared the entire time. And it's like, why did you come?
Yeah, it's like you're at a comedy show for
you paid money to not have a good time.
Paid money to not have a good time. It sounds like most husbands I know. I don't know what that means, but check your Amazon balance. Your wife's Amazon balance. So now are you going out on the road now? Or I know you have this special up. Tell us about the special and what your future is on the road.
Yeah, so the special I also recorded sometime during COVID. And so COVID times for comedians were real tough, because some people were really enjoying doing stuff on social media all the time, but I just really crave that intimacy, that reaction from the audience, whether they love it or not. And there's nothing like live comedy, live music, live entertainment. So
definitely,
I was definitely hurting during that time. I did Zoom shows. I got a lot of laughs. People like my jokes, but I just didn't feel like I was getting much out of it.
Huh.
So at some point I was like, hey, wouldn't it be crazy to, help promote my book and do a couple things if I just recorded an hour back in my hometown, Vienna, VA, had some family, friends, and strangers. And that's basically how it happened. And It was really crazy, because you even see it as like kind of like a tagline in the beginning of my special, where I don't know if it's 12 months or 16 months, but I hadn't performed live in like a year and a half. And my style, which is very quick. It was pretty insane for me to try to take on an hour and do that, but I think it came out super well, and it gave me the confidence to think, okay, this is something I could do again. Maybe next time, we try to tweak it, get a little more people involved, because it was pandemic time, so we hit pandemic capacity, but that was like 40 people,
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go.
But it was cool insofar as kind of similar to the book. I tried to give it all encompassing me with some, provocative stuff, some corny stuff, edgy stuff, but personal stuff as well, and like I said, it went really well. It was so much fun. And then ended up getting like 20,000 views on YouTube. So that was cool. And
then you're doing well on TikTok as well. Some
of my stuff hits really well and some of it doesn't.
TikTok's just that way these days. Some people that I know that do funny stuff on there, they're like, I can put up 2 or 3 things of the same thing, like just repeating it in different times, and like it won't hit. And then like the fourth time it'll like just fucking go gangbusters, and they're just like, I don't, whatever.
I think my biggest thing was like 350,000 views on
That's
one
pretty
single
awesome.
thing, and that was super cool. And I probably spent 10 seconds thinking about it.
Well, that's how most families get started. A lot of people, it's kind of interesting. TikTok has made some stars. There's one guy making the rounds now who I guess he did 10 or 12 years in the business, and he was getting drummed out of the business. People were telling him, yeah, you're not that funny, maybe you should give up. And I guess he had one of his TikTok videos that he wasn't going to put up. He's about to quit, evidently. It's a story. And it went viral, and now he's making like $12 million a year or something. I don't know if you've seen him. I forget his name.
If it's motivational or demotivational for me. I feel a little bit of both right now.
You know, maybe it means you're almost there.
That's what everyone's saying. Oh, I'm one thing away from breaking through, and get some fun opportunities here and there. But I'd definitely love to be making $12 million a year doing stand-up.
Definitely. Especially now that you got the daughter, that takes at least 11 million right there.
Exactly.
Because you're going to have to buy all the dresses and all the things, and there you go. So how has life changed for you? And having a daughter, having a family, and comedy, do you find it gives you more material, or is it harder, or how's it changed?
So it changes insofar as like I definitely have a smaller window to perform comedy, so it's making me try to like filter out some of the gigs that I personally think are not a good use of my time, and try to do the stuff that's better paying, more fun. So you kind of come in with that filter, and that's obviously what everyone wants to do over time. They want to say no to the crap and yes to the good stuff. So that right there off the bat kind of changed my framework, and I learned that when I was really grinding, I was doing this, 4 or 5 nights a week, multiple times a night. And now that I've been doing it for 10 plus years, I don't need to do it at that level to still feel like I'm on my game. So that was one aspect. And then, definitely the wholesome stuff. It's just been great seeing, her grow from, this little tiny weird thing to just this beautiful, she just started taking steps like last week.
Oh,
all those milestones and everything are just, feelings that I've like never had before in terms of, love and connection and just like pure joy and how much fun she can have with whatever nonsense she's getting into. So that's been a huge positive boost, especially, say I go to a gig and it's not that great, and then I can come back. She'll be asleep, but the next day I'll be like, taking her out of the crib and just be like, this is what matters. This is what's important.
Yeah. And it's good to have that foundation in life.
You need a foundation. Yeah. People who live or die by comedy are the ones that are abusing the most substances.
Yeah. You see that in the comedy world. Like I have my dogs as my kids, and they keep me grounded, and they remind me of what's important. And then of course having, people there in your life where I think that's maybe why we lose some comedians. I don't know what was going on in their personal life, but some of the comedians that you've seen there are pretty great and are up and coming and kind of middle where their careers are still coming up. You've seen them pass away with drugs, and you're just like, God, so much loss. That dude was so funny. But the laughter is the drug. Like, people laugh at me. That's like, it's like cocaine, man. And it just feeds the animal too, because you're just like, I just want to be funny more now.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a weird cycle, because you live for that attention, that validation, kind of, in a way. Although I don't give a shit if anybody likes my jokes anyway. At this point, I kind of reached a disturbing sort of narcissism where I just don't give a fuck anymore.
Give me a couple more years. There's been glimpses where I was like, "Whoa, where did this not come from?"
Yeah, but I still get off on the comedy when people laugh. But it's just brain juice for your brain. So anything more you want to plug on the comedy side before we flip over and talk about some of the business consulting you do?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm at Sidley Stand Up, and on TikTok, I'm at Allan Sidley, and those should probably be the same. But I like to make things difficult for my fans, so those are. And I'm trying to get into doing more videos all the time. been recovering from this really annoying cold that I don't know if you can hear it a little bit. I am feeling better though, but
there you go.
I'd
You
say
didn't get the COVID, did you?
no. I mean, I've gotten it before twice, but
Oh,
not
geez.
again, hopefully.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, if you're interested in booking me for whatever, so I'm starting to get into some college spaces. That's like sort of my number one intermediate goal.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of like use that as a additional platform because it's a long story, but I joined an association and it seemed like there were some really good opportunities that hopefully capitalizing on. But you know, I can do colleges, I can do corporate stuff, whatever. I just love doing it. I love sharing my jokes and just making people laugh at the dumb stuff I come up with and the smart stuff I come up with.
There you go. Make people laugh. And what you know, we need more of this. It's interesting you're doing colleges. I'm curious how that tour will work out because a lot of comedians are not happy with the wokeism on colleges and the
I mean, I think
you just can't take a joke, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be the most, you know, soft or liberal leaning spaces. And you just kind of have to know that.
You'll have to navigate it.
I think also the thing too, and, you know, we were talking about substances earlier. It's just like most of those shows, students aren't drinking. So you have people who are, you know, a little bit leaning towards, you know, not wanting to be offended or being pretty sensitive and then not being lubricated at all.
The lubrication
kind of like
helps.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
But I'll have to report back because I think I'm funnier than those people complaining. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Sounds good. Fuck Bill Maher. Hey, so why do you think comedy is important? Why is comedy an important thing in this world? Because it seems to be dying. Like yesterday, there's a new thing on Facebook where you can put like a little byline over your little story picture bullshit. And I've never done it. So yesterday, I just as a snarky thing, and most people that know my comedy on Facebook, they know I'm just really snarky. And so I just put "bite me" on it, right? Just fucking bite me. Like I'm just like, I don't know, this thing's stupid.
That's really insensitive to people who don't have teeth.
Oh fuck. So that's what it was. That explains the old man who lit up on me. So anyway, I got like 2 messages. One person, he wrote, "No, thank you. Please delete me from your posts." And he literally wrote "and" twice. Okay. So he's clearly there. And he is an old man. So it might have been the teeth issue. Bite yourself. Like he literally took offense at someone who wrote "bite me." And if he reads any of my content, which he clearly doesn't on Facebook, he would know that that's my comedy. I'll play the straight man and do snarky comedy. And he literally was super offended to a point that he unfollowed me because I just said 2 words, "bite me." And then some other chick was offended too. Not quite as much. I think she kind of half got the joke. But
and just to be clear, you didn't say "bite me at" and then tag all these people.
No. It's a new thing where in Messenger, you read people's stories, their stories go by. Well, evidently there's a new thing where you can put like a little byline in there, so some of my friends have been putting jokes in there, and then some of my friends have been talking to each other back and forth, and they've turned that into a joke stream. So like one's saying the other one's stupid, and it's kind of a funny back and forth if you're friends with them.
Right.
And so I've been just kind of like, what am I going to do with that space? So I just wrote "bite me." And like literally I offended 2 fucking people that I know of. There's probably a whole host of people that are blocking me now. And so why is comedy important? Why do we all need to lighten the fuck up?
I mean, I personally think that comedy is important because you need to laugh at the horrible things going on. And that doesn't resonate with everybody, obviously. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people are like, horrible things, let's not talk about them. Let's sweep them under the rug. But if you can make somebody, laugh by commenting on it or twisting something around, I mean, if you can laugh at trauma, you're winning, Mm-hmm. That's like kind of the way I see it. And, see people healing from, whatever stuff that they've been bothered with, whether it's, current events or stuff going on personally. It's like, if you can laugh at this, you're okay.
Yeah. I mean, human nature is comedic on the face of it. I think that's what comedians are great at, is they provide a mirror to human nature. And and they get us to look at ourselves and maybe not take ourselves as serious as we should, and recognize the folly of some of the stupid things that we do, even when it's horror or when it's tragic. There's still a moment where you can, people always used to tell me that, when my dog died, they're like, someday you'll be able to laugh and smile over this. You're like, what the fuck? And then you reach that point where you're like, you get joy when you see their faces, and sometimes the tragedies that you go through in life, everyone's like, you'll look back someday and laugh at this. And then you do. You're like, wow, that really wasn't that big of a deal. And whatever, bringing levity to different things so they're not these giant traumas. Maybe that's what we're doing in comedy when we're telling jokes about stuff that's has a powerful trauma in people's brain. We're trying to alleviate trauma. Maybe that's what it is. It's a counseling session, really, when you're doing stand-up.
Definitely. And it's an art to pull it off effectively, because if you just say the thing that upsets people, that's not gonna help anyone laugh, and then they're gonna get super upset.
Yeah. And the great comedians do a real art thing with where they can pretty much make fun of the whole circle. They can do the full circumference of the issues on both sides and make fun of everybody. Yeah. And I think that gives it it's like kind of like going around a can opener. And I think that really opens up everyone on all sides to go, yeah, why are we doing this us and them thing? It's really silly what we're up to as human beings.
I'm narcissist enough that most of my comedy is about me. So if people hate it, it's just because they don't like me.
There you go. Fuck those people then. There you go. So tell us about some of the consulting you do. I was looking at your LinkedIn, and you've been doing 11 years consulting with expertise in sales, relationship building, public speaking, and technical implementation and hilarity. Tell us about what you do there.
So I've definitely done a variety of roles and worn many hats. When I graduated from school, I kind of just got into like the tech consulting, data implementation stuff, which to some people think it's like amazing. Some people think it sounds like the most boring stuff ever, but essentially just implementing different solutions, for folks trying to digest data and get, reporting and analytics out of it. And done like a variety of stuff within that, business intelligence, data warehousing, a bunch of buzzwords. And it definitely pays the bills way better than comedy has so far. But I like it in terms of getting to do like problem solving, and I see it as puzzles. This is how it is now. This is what we want it to look like. Go figure out how to make that happen. And so that was like mostly some of the 9-to-5 stuff. But in terms of kind of other outside the box things that you've touched on, as I was finding my feet before going full-time comedian, before COVID happened, I was doing a lot of workshops for companies. So since I was heavy into improv, me and a partner were putting on sort of like interactive kind of training exercises that are based in improv, but are supposed to have, effects on either, people feeling more vulnerable and safe to say whatever, or like more tangibly, working on speaking skills, leadership skills, improve morale for groups. So I still do that stuff to this day when, the work is available, and it's really fun because you just go in, you've got your group of anywhere from 10 to 40 people, and you get to share this experience that you weren't really sure what was going into it, because sometimes it's a difficult thing to sell, where I'm like, I'm going to come in and do improv games, because some people are like, oh, that's lame. Some people are, you're going to have a strong reaction to it.
Really? People are like, I don't like
well, it's just like, it's hard to sell the benefit of it until people do it. And then just like, wow, we really, it's not just the morale boost. It's like we, thought more creatively for a couple of days and things of that. We feel like less limited when we say yes to ideas instead of shooting things down right away. So it's kind of like sort of trying to combine the stuff that I've learned from consulting as well as just having some fun,
And then maybe we need more comedy and levity in in business environments, because it's gotten really fucking, now you got microaggressions, which I think are complete bullshit. And I'm sure that next week there'll be microaggressions, the atomic level nuclear cell offenses. It's really interesting. Like, I think the first department that should be fired in most companies is the HR department.
Well, also
really
because they only help the company and not you.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like I love all the attorneys out there on TikTok, the HR attorneys or whatever that defend people, their employees, and like, yeah, when you start down the road getting calls from the HR department, it's not a good sign. They're slow walking you out the door, basically. Yeah. And I'm like, wow. But why do you think it's important in business to maybe have some more comedy and lighten the fuck up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just an opportunity for folks to get some common ground, especially if it's a shared experience where you're all laughing at something. You then can reference that as a fun time everybody had. And yeah, I mean, even in meetings I'll be throwing in some jokes here and there, because you do have to lighten the mood, because business at its core, if you're just like, so thanks for everyone for joining my business meeting. We are going to talk about business, and here are my 10 points. And then we walk through, and then now the business meeting is over, and these are the action items that everybody's going to do. And all right, see you later. And it's like, there's no kind of, no one's having an improved relationship there. No one's feeling, motivated about their work. So I think that's and that's probably what separates some of the better teams and managers and leaders, is trying to make any informational session less, monotonous and dry. All that, because and you're kind of battling two things, right? Because you have all these different types of people, personalities, and you have the people who are just like, let's only talk about this thing. Anything else we talk about, I can't focus. I don't want to talk about anything else. And then you have the people who are like, hey, how was your weekend? How is everybody doing? What's going on? So
yeah, there's a human element to it where
individuality, especially, but yeah, no, definitely.
People need to have that human interaction. I mean, that's important as well. But I think you're right. Leaders need to know a little bit of comedy. But these Zoom meetings, I never had to do the whole Zoom meetings things because I don't work for people. But during COVID, I would see my friends just suffering, and they would just be like, I've done 12 hours or 8 hours of fucking back-to-back Zoom meetings. Kill me now. And I'd just be like, yeah, that's why I don't work for anyone. But I've seen a few of them, and they're dry as hell. Like, they're just comedic wise or funny wise or interesting wise. They're dry as hell, and sometimes it's a horrible way to tell stories. And you can see people, they're like, it's like that scene in Airplane where they're tying the noose on and they're pouring gasoline all over themselves during the Zoom meeting. And you've always got that one person who's making it just extraneously painful, and making it drawn out. And so I think comedy is real important. One thing I talked about during COVID and since is, leaders, there's a lot I could do personally and being funny, and trying to gauge and excite and motivate my employees one-on-one. And that's really easy to do because, you can hang out with people, you can stand next to them, shake their hand, pat them on the back. Although I think that's illegal now as a microaggression. I just keep 6 feet away from people at this point and poke them with a stick. And not that kind of poke, people. Don't go there. Oh shit, HR is calling me now. It's harder over Zoom, especially as a leader, to motivate people and inspire them and kind of win their hearts and minds. And of course, storytelling is so important as well, I think. And I think that's what a lot of people miss in those Zoom meetings. No one's telling stories, it's just barking orders, maybe.
Yeah, it's that. And, as a person who hasn't been in a high leadership position, I can tell, everyone what everyone's doing wrong and what they need to do. All you have to do is appreciate your employees. All you have to do is tell them, good job. We appreciate you.
That's
and then maybe
much.
Give them some more money at the end of the year going into the next year. Those two things, and you'll have people smiling and saying, yes, what else can I do to help the team?
Yeah, we can't have that.
That's all you need, you know?
Really? It seems almost too easy, but so we're not going to do that. Companies will say, no, you're right. Because
it's always, you fix this. Now, what are you doing? Now, what are you doing? Now, what are you doing? What are we doing? This is this. And it's like, there's no chill, you know?
There's no chill. I think that's an important aspect of it too. People got to learn to chill a little bit more. You know, if as so much comes across with empathy and inspiring people. I mean, inspiring people is a big part of leadership. If you're not inspiring people, they're going to go someplace where they're going to be inspired. You know, especially in this new Gen Z crowd, they're going to places where they find good leadership, where they find inspiration, where they're motivated at work because, whatever of it is inspires them. Yeah. And that's just so important.
It's really admirable. They're doing a great job of, realizing nobody's looking out for them.
Yeah.
Millennials, we sort of started that, I like to believe, in terms of, hey, the companies aren't really looking out for us. We need to do a little more job hopping. But Gen Z just took that and hopped 3 jobs a year to find something that actually works for them.
Yeah. And thankfully they're in a job environment now where they can they are the, there's a shortage of workers. So they are they're in demand. And so they can kind of command their value a little bit. And, we're seeing great things with unions and stuff like that. So there you go. So as we go out, any thought and things that we've missed about you that we should have our audience know about you?
Trying to think. Anything else?
You got your special.
Yeah.
You got your TikToks, your Instagrams. Anything new coming up on the road there?
I mean, I've got a couple shows in December. Doing something in here. Let me pull up my calendar real quick, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
My calendar says, so I'm going to be doing so this is going to be a little interesting. I'm doing a musical comedy show in Havre de Grace at the fair, or not the fair, the Havre de Grace Theater. And this is in Maryland. And I will be doing some hip hop funny rapping. It's something I've been wanting to do. I used to do like a little freestyling back in the day with the boys. So time to dust off those skills. And then, also doing a show in Cape Charles on December 2nd. So
there you go.
I mean, just check out the website. I'm going to make sure to have all my dates up there. And I mean, that's the
comedy
other things
rap.
I have things I'm thinking about working on.
There you go. Comedy rap. That's got to be kind of interesting. Does anybody do comedy rap? Is that a new thing?
I'm sure some folks have done it. Or a lot of times what you do is the stereotypical thing is like you break down a rap song and then you say what you would do is different and throw in some other stuff and analyze it. But I haven't 100% figured out what I want to do because I have too many ideas for it, but I am running out of time. So
yeah, there you go. Those kids are going to grow up on you.
Yeah.
So there you go. Interesting balance, life-work balance you got going on, and I hope it really keeps kicking ass for you, man. You're doing well. I'm looking at the TikTok there. I'm gonna have to watch some of your videos and stuff. So Allan, thanks for coming on the show. Give us your final plug outs and pitches before we go out.
Just like I said earlier, hire me to do comedy.
There you go.
I will make you laugh for your private party, your bar mitzvah, whatever, wedding, or just regular comedy club. Love doing this stuff. Love writing jokes, and people love hearing my jokes. So hopefully it'll be you soon.
There you go. Check him out. Order up the book wherever fine books are sold, folks. Daddy Issues, a Fatherless Comedian's Original Jokes, out March 19th, 2021. Thank you very much, Allan, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Chris.
There you go. And thanks to our audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one on the Tickety Talkity. And what is there? The LinkedIn newsletter, the LinkedIn group. Also go to, what did we miss? I don't know. That's all of it. Chris Voss, Facebook.com. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time.